this town we call home. Everyone hail to the pumpkin song. In this town, don't we love it now?
Jack Skellington, guys, I am so excited to do this tutorial. So I wanted to show you 3 versions. This is out of Jumbo Chenille Chunky Yarn size 7. Look how gorgeous he is. I would say this is my favorite version right here. Very soft. This is out of Bernette Blanket Big Black, and then the white is from Amazon. And I do have a short tutorial on how I do the bow. Very short tutorial, guys. I just wanted to just show you how I do it. Very simple. But this is what size 7 looks like. And I want to go ahead and show you the variations because you can do this pattern with any yarn size that is for hand knitting. Now this is from Joann's, and again the bow, guys, I absolutely love it. You can add white glitter to give the illusion of a bat. I thought that was cute right there. But this is out of Joann's yarn. It's Eddie. I'm not sure the last name, guys. I have it in the PDF, but this is from Joann's. This is considered size 6, super bulky, and you can see it does show a little bit of gaps with this one. So this is a good brand. I really like it. He's very soft, guys. And here is what the tutorial would be on. Velvet yarn, guys, by Loops and Threads. It is size 6, super bulky. Look how gorgeous he is. So this is like my fancy version. I want to just get creative with this one. But you don't have to do the fancy version. You don't have to mimic this one. Just want to give ideas, show the variations that with this pattern, you can alternate it a little bit and add to it with embellishments. So with the coat, guys, I do use fabric or hot glue for all yarn, size 7, size 6, velvet, cotton. I use glue because it gives the illusion of a layer like a coat. So I did state that in the listing, and it's very effective. So with the velvet and the yarn from Joann, you can feel the glue a little bit because it's a little bit hard to keep it precise without it being felt. But with the Jumbo size 7, you cannot. You just gotta be very careful, work slowly, and he truly is soft all around, guys. I absolutely love this one. This one is my favorite version. But look how beautiful that pinstripe pattern is. It's absolutely gorgeous. I also wanted to mention, if you don't want to use hot glue or fabric glue to do the coat, you can continue the arms then in the pinstripe pattern. And then there's your pattern. Pinstripe for the whole body. And that is out of felt, guys. Completely just arts and crafts right there. Taking a pencil, drawing out a mouth and cutting it. But if you wish to mimic, there you go. You can just free shot that screen right there. This is how we're going to be doing a jack, guys. So you can do size 7. You can do royal velvet with me. You can do the yarn from Joann's, which I will have the name. It's about size 6, super bulky. But there you go, guys. I absolutely love all these jacks. And like I said, you can do the pinstripes for the arms. So no hot glue will be needed and it'll all be unison. So I want to start off with the materials. I am using Royal Velvet. It is my favorite brand of yarn. It offers a nice durability. So these are all the colors. And I decided to do a fancy version, I'm calling it. So I have the Loops and Threads black fox fur. Or faux fur, I think it's called. And felt for the face. A glue gun and scissors. But we're going to go ahead and get started. And we want a nice long tail. So the right side is our working yarn, and we're going to flip it over like so. We're making a slip knot, and you're going to pull the working yarn through, pulling on your tail to tighten it. And this is how we start out with pretty much all hand knitting projects. Now we want to knit our Jack Skellington tight, so to the middle of your index finger. So now I am casting on my second stitch. just like so, guys. Use your thumbs to pull the working yarn through and to count right on the tops of the bumps, just like so, guys. So we will be casting on a total of 14 stitches, guys, and this is going to make a medium-sized plushie out of the royal velvet with the perfectly plush or the brown from Joann's. It was almost like on the larger side. So I'm casting on a total of 14. So here's my completed foundation chain, guys, and I'm going to go and just count down. A good rule of thumb here, just always count and ensure that you have all your total stitches that you wanted. So now we're going to get our foundation chain in the round. So the second to last stitch, wherever you see me poking, not the last one, but the second to last, you're going to insert your tail and gently pull it through. And your foundation chain is going to flip on you, as you just saw me unflip it. Just make sure your foundation chain is nicely, evenly flat, going all the way around, because it will mess you up as you're knitting, and you basically just got to start all over. So I'm taking my tail, guys. I'm going to get it out of my way. And like I said, a nice, evenly flat foundation chain. So now, guys, we are going to be taking our secondary color, or white, and we're going to be basically doing his pinstripes here, his outfit. So I'm going to make a little slip knot. So you're going to want to make a little slip knot with a tiny tail. You do not need a long tail. It will just get in your way. And like I said, we are knitting tight. You want to knit your plushies tight. So my tail's too long here, guys. I'm just going to trim it down here so it's just not in my way. So we're going to be knitting right through the foundation chain, right at the tops. So wherever you see me inserting my finger, we're going to insert our stitch. So that's our second stitch. So the black loop that's hanging out is number 1. The white one is number 2. And we're going to be knitting through the total worth of our foundation chain. So I cast it on 14. And now, just as you see me doing, you're going to be alternating back and forth between black, white, white. And this is the intarsia method right here also, what it's called. The easiest method of hand knitting with up to 3 colors going back and forth. It's meant for stripes or blocks of color. So just like so, as you notice how I am pulling the white yarn, like I'm keeping it separate from the black yarn. You just want to make an effort with that. And then the white skein, I have it in my lap, guys. Just like so. You want to make sure you're knitting tight. And that also means keeping your secondary color, your white yarn, like right up against the foundation chain as you're knitting, just to keep everything as neat as possible. And on the note, guys, with this yarn, this is royal velvet again. This is not, I do not recommend this for a young child or a toddler. This is very delicate yarn when it comes to hand knitting. You know, it's meant more for like a cherished gift to an older child, a teenager, your partner. Not necessarily to rough play or that's going to be getting lots of hugs. I would definitely go with the more cotton, which is why I did the variated one, the more taller one with the Joanne brand or the Hobby Lobby brand if you want to go with the perfectly plush. So again, this is going to be very soft, velvety, but delicate. So just keep alternating back and forth. And this is pretty much the whole pattern, guys, right here. Alternating all the way up until we get to the head. So your last stitch is practically going to be touching your first stitch. And that's why I really want to just emphasize where you see me touching. Do not skip it. It is easily skipped, because it's practically right up against your first stitch. Now your tail, guys, is your golden marker. It is going to always tell you that it is connected to the first stitch. That is the next row. You know, that you completed the previous row. This is the new row now. So you see, I put my tails in the middle. And again, rule of thumb, to always just count. Make sure you got through all your total worth of your foundation chain. Now go ahead and knit for 2 more rows, guys. And this is what you should have. So we should have a total of 3 rows now. So go ahead and pause it, guys. I'm just trying to keep this tutorial not so long. But once you get to the 4th row, you're going to want to fold your foundation chain like so. So once you get to the 4th row, fold it in half like so. And I'm using my tails, my golden marker. And then continue knitting along. So why do we fold it by at least the 4th row? Because it helps you knit tighter. It helps ensure, like the left and right side when it comes to enclosing, that the gaps, there's no gaps. And I also want to show you, if you're observing how I am knitting, I am pulling the working yarns as closely as I can behind the stitches. Just like so, guys. So I want to go ahead and demonstrate this for you. And you notice how I'm still keeping my colors separate. You want to pull each working yarn, knit it tight, knit it close. So do you see how I am ensuring, you know, pulling each working yarn as closely as I can behind the foundation chain? And every time, you know, you're gonna you need to go to the other side, fold it in half so the corners are, you're able to knit easy. So you see how I rotated it? And just use your tail as your golden marker to know that that is the next row. So we are going to be knitting a total of 3 more rows, guys. And on the 8th row, I will meet you guys back to continue instructing, because that is when we're going to start making the outline for his chest. But knit a 3 more rows. So you should have a total of 7 rows completed, and on the 8th row, I will meet you guys back. But go ahead and continue observing for this whole row, so you can learn to see how I'm knitting, alternating back and forth. So here is my total 7 rows, guys. So in the 8th row is we're going to incorporate the white chest. So where you saw me pointing, those 3 rows, that's going to be the white zone. So you're going to knit with white, and then again with white, and then again with white. So 3 times. So it should look just like this, guys. And then the 4th white, go ahead and just continue the pinstripe pattern. And so you're going to be continuing the pinstripe pattern, but every time you get to the chest zone, the white zone, whatever helps you to get it, that, you know, keep it white for 3 rows up. So we should have a total of 10 rows, guys. So this is the 8th row. It's going to be the 8th row, 9th row, and 10th row. That you're going to go ahead and just follow that pattern now. So just like so, just keep continuing the pinstripes. But when you get to that zone that we just did, keep it white for 3 more rows. Now coming up to the last stitch on the 8th row, guys, we're going to knit it black. The last stitch, which is going to be white in the 8th row, knit it black, because we're going to be outlining the 3 white stitches in the middle. So use your tail as your marker to let you know that stitch 1, and you're going to be outlining the 3 white stitches, and the first white stitch, which is at the end of the 8th row, and the last white stitch, you're going to knit it black. You want 3 white stitches only in the middle. So just as you see me doing right here. And you're going to continue this for the 9th row and the 10th row. So this is the 9th row we're on, and then you're going to continue it for the 10th row. We're building up our chest, guys, where we're going to outline it with the V when we do the coat, which that is on part 2, guys. If you wish to see me how I make the coat, how I told you, it is out of hot glue or fabric glue you can do to give the illusion of a coat. But 9th row and 10th row, follow this pattern now. 3 rows of white only to create his chest, guys. So once you have your total of 10 rows, we're going to be casting off now with the black. So starting the 11th row, I'm going to get 2 loops on my finger, and I'm going to pull the black working yarn through both loops. And I'm going to do it again, all the way around. This is decreasing. 2 loops on the finger, always 2 loops, and pull the black working yarn through both, working all the way around. So this is the 11th row, guys. So I'm using my tail to let me know that I completed the whole 11th row, decreased the whole 11th row to stop. So now we are going to want to count. And so we decreased it all. So we should have a total of 7 loops, guys. 7 stitches. We took it down by half if you had did 14. Which I will put a disclaimer, guys, a warning. It is very important that you cast on an even number because of this reason right here. So now we are done with the block, guys. The alternating back and forth, it is done. So we're going to cut a small tail, make a knot, golden rule with hand knitting. With all tails, make a knot. And so now we are just going to be working with the white. And so cool, guys, that the white's already connected. And we just pick it up and work along with it. So now we are going to be increasing. So as you saw me, I knitted my first stitch. And now in between, I'm going to go ahead and make a stitch. And then I'm going to knit again. So the pattern is knit, make a stitch, knit, make a stitch. So now we're getting back the total 14. And this is increasing. This is what increasing is in hand knitting. You're going to do this whole pattern, this whole technique for the entire 12th row. Just as you see me doing. Because we're working on the head now. And Jack has a big head. So we want the whole 14. So just like so, guys. Knit and increase, knit and increase all the way around. And use your tail as your marker to know when to stop. And also to double check and count to see, do you have your total of 14 or whatever even cast on number you did. So I'm using my tail, guys, again as my golden marker to let me know I completed my 12th row of increase. And then again, as I told you, count. Make sure you have your total stitches that you started with the foundation chain. Once it's good, I'm going to show you now how to cast off the bottom. Very simple, guys. So the stitch connected to the tail, we're going to be working the stitch next to it. So right where you see me poking, and you're going to take your tail and you're going to insert it from inside out. Don't need to tug very hard right now, especially with the royal velvet. And you're going to be working your tail through the entire foundation chain, or just enough to where we're going to be enclosing. The whole basis of this is to enclose it. So you're going to be working your tail throughout the foundation chain. And royal velvet, guys, super bulky right here. It can be tricky trying to, work with this for hand knitting. But just, use your fingertips. And when you get to the third, fourth stitch, go ahead and start tugging it closed gently. Of course, if you're working with the cotton, as the Perfectly Plush or the Joann's brand, or even size 7 jumbo, you can definitely start tugging at the second stitch, as you see me doing. So you see, guys, with this beautiful royal velvet, I love it. I'm not even through my entire foundation chain, my entire 14 stitches, and it's already pretty much sealed up. So what you see me doing right here is I'm just using my fingers to just give a nice little flat rounded bottom. Now once I'm satisfied, pretty enclosed, tie a knot, remember, with all tails. And you're gonna insert, after you tie a knot, you're gonna insert your tail into the previous opening. If you enclose it pretty good like I did, insert it through any stitch at the bottom. We're just trying to tuck the tail. The whole basis is just get the tail into, inside the plushie. We're trying to hide it. So that is what you see me doing. And you can tie, once you get it in, you can, or, just tie more than one knot on it. It's all for security purposes when we tie knots with hand knitting on the tails. So I'm just giving a nice tug, guys. I want it nice and, a beautiful shape on the bottom. That is like the butt part of Jack, I guess we can call it. And now for the head, guys, you want to knit a total of 10 to 11 rows, especially with the bigger yarn, 10. So 10 or 11 rows. And this is what it should look like. So go ahead and pause the video. And then once you have your total of 10 or 11 rows, you're going to cut a nice long tail. just as you saw me do, and stuff it. So again, I'm just trying to keep these cutouts, guys, that turn out to be too long. So just pause it. But once you have it stuffed, not too high because you don't want your stuffing falling out, I'm going to show you how to cast off for the head. You're going to take your tail, and like I said with the golden rule, work it from inside out. Now that first stitch connected to the tail, do not tug very hard right away. Unless you're working more like a stickier yarn, I call it, like not so slippery. But that stitch connected to the tail will sink. It will disappear on you. So you're going to want to use some kind of marker to hold it open. But as you see me doing, this is casting off right here that I'm teaching you for a plushie. So you see what I'm doing? I'm just grabbing whatever, guys. I'm going to use a pencil to just hold that stitch that's connected to the tail. So you see how I'm tugging it now? And it's pulling it. It will sink on you. So you're going to work the tail through all your stitches. And this is the point where you also want to go ahead and keep stuffing the head, molding it, shaping it as you're enclosing. Working the tail from inside out. This is how we cast off on a plushie, guys. So just like so. Way easier casting off with the foundation chain. Just insert your tail through all the loops. Now I want to go ahead and show I'm on my last stitch, which is the stitch connected to the tail. I remove my marker, and just like so, guys, you want to get through all the stitches. Now once you're done, satisfied with the stuffing, tie a knot and insert the tail, guys. And you can use scissors if you're working with the royal velvet or you need some help for precision. Use scissors as you see me doing, because this is a super bulky, guys, size 6. It is small to be working with for hand knitting. So just a trick that I discovered, just using scissors for precision. It really does help. And there you go, guys. There you go. So this jack is looking sloppy, guys, but the coat is all going to fix it up. But I'm going to show you, if you have gaps, easy fix. Like I said, guys, I use a glue gun with this. If you're not comfortable with this, then I know you can sew. I'm not quite sure with the royal velvet, though. So you see what I'm doing? I'm fixing the imperfections. I snipped a small portion of the color of yarn that I need. Put a little glue, hot glue. And guys, it doesn't look bad. It holds it in place. This is fixing any imperfections right here. So I'm working on the bottom. All the top part is going to be covered with the coat. So I'm not worried about that. Now with gaps, as you see me doing. This is just my own thing right here. So take a piece of yarn and just fill up the gap. I do know with size 7, with the more cotton, you can sew it though. And I'm going to be showing you guys the arms. Use your chest part to help show you where you're going to be putting the arms. As you see me doing, we're going to be knitting with black. And we are going to knit For the sleeve, guys, we are going to knit 4 rows. And we're basically going to outline a square. So 1 stitch on top, 1 on the left side, 1 on the bottom, 1 on the right side, a square shape. And you want to keep your square shape as you're knitting. You want to keep it a small circumference inside, because then you're going to have a really fat arm. This one came out a little bit fat of an arm that I'm not too happy with versus my first one. So I'm just giving you heads up here. Knit, make the square relatively small, the space within it small, because then you're gonna have like a fat arm. Unless you want a fat arm, I mean, you're gonna see my plushie, guys, when it's done. So now, once you knit that, I'm going to do a total of 4 rows. So this is my second row I'm doing right here, guys. So you're gonna knit a total of 4 rows, or 5 rows if you feel it needs to be bigger. This is my second row. So once you have a total of 4 rows, guys, now we're going to go ahead and snip the yarn. And now we're going to take the white and we're going to tie it. We're going to tie it onto the block. So as I was telling you guys, if you snap your yarn and you need to add more yarn, so this is it. This is what I was talking about. Just tie a knot with both ends. And you get more yarn. So once you tie your knot, just tuck it all in to the sleeve. You're going to continue knitting along for 2 more rows for the hand. Simple as that, guys. Simple as that. And then I would stuff it minimally. But again, it's all preference. But we're just going to knit for 2 rows for the hand. Stuff it to your preference and then cast off. The way we cast it off with the head, you're going to do the exact same method, same technique with the hand. Cut a tail, work tail through all 4 loops from inside out. I'm actually going to hot glue the tail though, as you see me doing. So I stuffed mine just a little, guys. Now you can hot glue it, mold it down the tip, or you can go ahead and weave it down 2 stitches and then tuck it in with the knot or no knot if you're using fabric or hot glue to secure it in, guys. Then I'm just going to add a little bit of stuffing inside his hand. And then go ahead and give it a nice tug. And then like I said, guys, I'm going to use hot glue and mold it down because it's the royal velvet. It's more delicate yarn. It's just more secured. But if you're using the jumbo size 7, I would go ahead and weave it down 2 stitches, then tuck it in with the knot or no knot if you're going to be using fabric or hot glue to secure it in still. But there is also that method. So 2 ways to enclose with working with either yarns. As with my size 7 that I do weave it down 2 stitches, then tuck it in with the knot. And so do the exact same thing, guys, for the other side. I'm not going to show you for tutorial sakes of not being too long of a video here. But just use that arm to measure it up, just like so. So once you made your 2 arms, this is just a little trick I'm showing you. Is taking my scissors and just fixing along the shape, shifting the stuffing around with the scissors. So here is my Jack, and I'm going to go ahead and start building up on the coat. And this is how I do it, guys. Again, I use the glue gun. So I create the nice V shape going around the chest. And then I hot glue that down. And then once that part's done, I go ahead and make the button. Now I told you I'm doing a fancy version, which I'm using the royal velvet red. And I just thought, this will look cool. So just as you saw me do, I snailed it. And I'm going to go ahead and hot glue that down. So at this point, it's a lot of craftsmanship. So once that is hot glued down, guys, now I go ahead and do the outline for the bottom of his coat. And measure it up. I see how much I need, where I'm going to cut. And I do it for the left side and the right side. Again, using as much minimum glue as I can and keeping a very precise, a nice straight line right underneath it. And so again, I'm sure you can sew, but I find this way more effective and it's secured on. Part 2, guys, is all on the coat on how I do it. I want to go ahead and show you how exactly I do it using hot glue or fabric glue.